What if I told you the pressure you feel to matter, to prove yourself, to leave some kind of legacy might be the very thing keeping you from truly living? What if your constant need to be seen, validated, and remembered is quietly draining your joy? And what if I said, you don't have to carry that weight anymore? Because maybe the point of life isn't to matter to everyone. Maybe it's to belong deeply to yourself. Let's sit with that. The trap we don't see coming. Most of us aren't chasing fame. We're not trying to be famous. We're just trying to feel seen. But that's the trap. Somewhere along the way, being seen became a survival strategy. From childhood, we learned that love is conditional. We matter when we're good. We matter when we're useful. We matter when we succeed. And so, we hustle. Not just in our careers, but in our friendships, our relationships, and our healing journeys. We want to be the one who got it right. And when we don't, we feel invisible, unworthy, like we feel that's something no one else seems to be struggling with. Here's where it gets frustrating. When you finally break down and tell someone, I feel like I don't matter, the response is usually, just focus on yourself. Learn to love yourself. You don't need anyone else's approval. And while that sounds nice, it doesn't land because love isn't an idea. It's a felt experience. And if your nervous system has been wired to believe you only matter when you're achieving or producing, just love yourself feels like a lie. It's not that we don't want to feel worthy. It's that we were never taught how to feel safe without trying to earn our worth. Think about how we build our identities. Job titles, followers, degrees, relationships, productivity. Everything becomes a symbol. Proof that we're not wasting our lives. Proof that we count. And when we lose those things, we spiral. Because when our value is attached to what we do or what we produce, stillness feels like death. You're not being lazy. You're just terrified of being no one. But here's the quiet truth no one teaches you. You've never been no one. You've always been you. Before the job, before the goals, before the roles you took on just to feel important, you're already enough. We live in a culture that idolizes being important. More visibility, more recognition, more relevance. And we assume that if we're not constantly proving our value, we'll disappear. But here's what's wild. The people who have truly changed the world, the mentors, the guides, the steady presences, they weren't always the loudest. They were the ones who made space. They were the ones who listened. They were the ones that didn't need to be the center, to be felt deeply. You don't have to be loud to leave a mark. You just have to be honest. Stillness feels like losing. Let's talk about why being still can also feel so scary. When you stop chasing, stop performing and trying to be enough, you suddenly feel like you're falling. Like time is slipping by and you're not doing anything with it. But pause, ask yourself, who told you that stillness was waste? Who told you that being quiet is irrelevant? That's not the truth. That's fear. Survival mode dressed up as ambition. Stillness isn't losing, it's returning. It's remembering who you are when no one's watching. Underneath all this, the success of chasing, the overthinking, and the let me prove myself again today energy is one of fear, being forgotten. And that fear, it makes sense. We want to know we left something behind, that our life meant something. But here's only this. You're not here to be remembered by the masses. You're here to be felt by the few who actually get to meet the real you. Maybe you'll never be famous. Maybe your name won't end up in a textbook. But you'll make someone safe when they're unraveling. You'll look someone in the eyes and remind them they're not alone. You'll sit beside someone in silence when the world is too loud. And that matters, even if no one writes it down. So let's ask, what does it mean to matter, really? Is it visibility, impact, legacy, or is it presence? To matter in the way your dog lights up when you walk in the room. To matter in the way your friend finally cries when they realize you're really listening. To matter in the quiet way you're being calms a room, even when you say nothing. We've been measuring mattering by how many people know us instead of how deeply we show up. The world doesn't need more impressive people. It needs more present ones. Here's a thought. What if your legacy isn't the stuff you build, but the space you leave behind? The room you made for others to feel safe? The way you helped someone remember who they were? The softness in your presence? The truth in your silence? You don't need a platform to make a difference. We need to be real. And realness, in a world obsessed with image, is radical. So what happens when you stop trying to matter? At first, it's terrifying, because everything you built starts to shake. The who am I if I'm not chasing something panic sets in. But if you stay with it, if you breathe, through the ache and wait out the noise, something wild happens. You find peace, not the flashy kind, the quiet, steady, soul-deep kind. You realize you don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be here, fully, honestly, unapologetically. You learn how to rest, how to play, how to just be, without performing your worth every second. And that's where you start to actually feel free. The turning point comes when you start mattering to yourself, not in a narcissistic way, in a deeply reverent, grounded way. You wake up and don't rush to be useful. You eat when you're hungry, not when it's convenient. You speak kindly to yourself, not to be positive, but to be honest. You stop outsourcing your self-worth to how many likes and responses and compliments you get. You matter because you exist. That's it. Who matter because you are here. So how do you let go of the weight trying to matter? You start small. You notice when you're performing instead of expressing. You pause when you're about to prove something and ask, who is this for? You practice being still, even when it feels like you're disappearing. You say no when it costs you peace, even when it wins your approval. You start honoring your enoughness in the everyday, and slowly the survivor energy melts. Then something softer but stronger rises in this place. We're taught to look for validation in noise, claps, cheers, metrics. But some of the deepest forms of validation are quiet. The breath you take when no one needs you. The feeling of being okay in your own skin. The moment you realize you don't need anyone affects you, just witness you. That silence, it's not absence, it's affirmation. It's like saying, you don't have to try so hard, you're already here, that's enough. You don't have to be remarkable to matter. You don't have to be memorable to be meaningful. You don't have to be impressive to be important. Let yourself be small sometimes. Let yourself rest. Let yourself not try so hard to matter, because you already do. In the way you breathe, in the way you care, in the way you stay, when everything in you wants to run. You're not your output. You're not your achievements. You're not your relevance. You're you. That's more than enough. Watch the next video, not to matter more, but to feel more.